record a new video from the beginning. Sorry, for me it's hard to see what you write there because I have only one screen and I can just only work. Only see one screen of my program, and sometimes it's quite tricky to just select another tab to see what happens there. So yeah, let's continue with the explanation of all the toolbars. Yeah, so this is the main toolbar. This is the biggest toolbar. What we have here is it's a viewport, and sorry, not toolbar, screen. This is the biggest screen of our software. This is the viewport. We will see our model here, and we can rotate it by pressing Alt and the left mouse button. So you can move it by pressing Alt and the middle mouse button. So basically this is most of the useful thing. You need to rotate your model and move it like that. Just use an Alt button and the left mouse button on your mouse and the middle mouse button to move. So to move the light source you can use the shift mouse button and the shift button and the right mouse button to just control your light source, something like that. This is actually not really important for us, but you can just have a play with that. So as I said before, this tab for us it's not really useful if you don't have a graphic tablet to work with. Sometimes it's actually possible to use it. For example, let me just show one trick. For example, if I add a black model here, I just put the black mask over here, and maybe I want to have roofing bricks or something like that over here. I can use this brush over here to actually draft these black lines by the masking. And to make those straight, actually you can use a shift button. You can see that if I just click somewhere and use a shift button there, the software will give me a chance to have straight lines like that. And sometimes it could be really useful to put something like that on our model. If you use a shift, for example, I can just draw something like a bricks for the roof. Yeah. Okay, so this eraser toolbar for us actually it's not really useful. No, it works also with the mask. Okay, so that means that you can also just erase everything what you have drawn here with this eraser on that layer. And yeah, this one is a projection. You can just place some image here and project it on top of our image. We will not use that thing right now also, and we are already familiar with that instrument, with that tool. This tool works as a selection, so what we select, these parts will be filled with that color which is selected in the properties. So yeah, and this one actually is for us it's not really useful. It's useful when you have not a fill layer but just a layer where you paint something on your image. Oh, but interesting. I never used this toolbar. Yeah. Okay, I prefer not to use most of that tools because to make the image more clear, it's better to use this less tools, and most of the things will be created with that polygon fill toolbar. So these toolbars we also don't need to have. This button could just export all these layers into Photoshop, and here we will have a shelf. Shelf is something like a library where we have a lot of different stuff. So here, for example, in alphas we could just use the alpha for our paintbrush. For example, if we will use a brush here, for example, as a basic card, and go to the alpha and, for example, use this card spades texture, you can see that our brush is already textured with that type of symbol. So right now, if we have a layer with the black mask, we can just use that brush to put the symbols on top of our building like that. But once again, it's really useful when you already have a concept and you know what you actually need to do. If you just will use it abstractly, you will just play with that tool and nothing really interesting will happen. Here are some of Grunge's textures, which you can use as a procedural textures. Hard surfaces, normal maps. We will not use most of that stuff. Let's just go back to the materials and just focusing on that. So basically we will just use the materials to work with, and that's all, because other things maybe we will explore a little bit later when we will just start to understand how the materials actually works and how the masking, how we actually mask everything to see that materials in the places where we need to put those. So materials, yeah, here you can see the most parts of the buildings are already done. And now I will go to this type of this part of the screen. This is actually the settings of selected layer or mask. So basically, if you will go to the if you will select the layer here, you can see that there is a lot of options what you can do with your layer, and there is so the first option is the material. Here you can just change what you will see on your model. For example, if you will just turn off the color, you can see that color will be not visible, but the normal map from this material will be still visible. So basically, for now I will just not touch anything at all here, because we will just use everything from the default mode. So I will just show you that if I will just press in or press it out, you will see that, for example, right now the shininess of that material, if I will just turn off the roughness, you can see the shininess will be replace it, but not replace it, because we have a roughness here. Yeah, and now I prefer to use that roughness over here, and Yeah, now you can control the roughness. Metalness, we don't need to have a metalness here because the wood actually don't use a metalness. But metalness, this is the information which provide. Um, so the metalness is information which could be converted into shader inside the game engine after you export all the textures from the Substance Painter into the Unity. So, and the normal map will give you a lot of small details. You can see here on the wooden part how it works actually. Yeah. So, what else we have here? Here in the field part of that properties, we can see the different type of projections. Here you need to put UV projection, bilinear filtering, and unwrap. I use a repeat, but for us it doesn't matter because we put all the textures in one single square of the unwrap. So basically you don't need to change anything here, but sometimes, as I showed you before, if the tiling direction is wrong, you just need to use this rotation to rotate your tiling direction like that. Yeah. And different layers actually have a different parameters. For example, this layer have here this type of parameters, but if we will go in that layer, you can see that there is another things to play with. And if we will, for example, put the metal layer here, again there is different parameters. Each of those shaders actually created with the Substance Designer. This is another program which we will not touch because it's more advanced one to create this type of PBR materials. Actually, all these materials, what means the PBR? PBR means that you can see here a PBR. That means that physically based material. I believe that R means that render pipeline. So physically based render pipeline. That means that all of those materials, for example, this wooden material, should have an adjustment here, which really close to the real world properties. For example, the wooden shininess, the wooden small detailing, and the wooden all the things right now works pretty the same as a normal world. And if you export all the textures with that shader, you can easily import it, for example, in the Unity, where also you can use the same shaders to sign in all the textures in, and then you can see that all the shaders will looks like in the real world. Yeah. So basically, this is really a wonderful thing to play with when you create really realistic assets for your game. Yeah. So okay, what else we have here? If we create mask, for example, let's just create a empty fill layer from that small bucket. Yeah, you can see that I will just close all the layers which are already created. You can see that if I put the fill layer, it will be filled with that type of color. Okay, so you can change the color of that fill layer, and basically is the same is the same if we will use the material here, it will have the color which we can change. But if we will just use the fill layer from over here, it's much more default. It will have a pretty middle settings for everything, and you can just try to control everything how you like. For example, you can just change the roughness to change the shininess of the details. You can change the metallic to change the metalness of your model. You can see right now it's much more metalness, and if I will just add something like a light blue color, it looks like a steel or something. That's because I used metalness here. And yeah, sometimes it's really useful to use a default fill layer to work with. For example, let's maybe create windows with that. So basically the window should be pretty dark, I think, and it should be pretty, it should have a lot of roughness. It should just shine like a mirror or something. I will not give a metalness to the window because it should not be the really metal. So basically, if I will add a maximum roughness, you can see that some type of environment is already seen. The environment you can change in the settings, but I will not just change anything at all right now because it's a kind of tricky. It's not kind of tricky, but it's in a different menu, and I'm right now focusing only on that. So basically, yeah, I will add a roughness to not to see the environment too much. Yeah. So, and to show shininess only for windows, I need to mask those. So basically, to mask those windows, I using this small little square over here. And to use a square, sorry, I distract a little bit. To use a mask here, I need to put the black mask from over here, and right now you can see that anything is filled with the white color. That means that we don't see anything from our texture. So to see something, we need to just select the mask. If you select your mask, you will see that it's selected with the blue square over here, and if the mask is selected with that polygon fill toolbar, you can just fill that part of the screens. So, and for example here you can see that the polygons go that way. That means that for us it's not really useful, and we will just use this type of brush to see where we place our window. Basically, I don't like how it places right now. Let's go into the texture mode to see how actually it looks in the texture. If we will go here in the texture, you can see that this is the place for our window, and also we could use this 3D to do 2D window to see texture and the model. So the first thing we can just sorry, I forgot to say what I'm doing. So basically I have a brush here to work with. With that brush you can just draw the parts of the masks. To erase that mask, you can use the eraser, or you can just switch a color of your brush to the black. Maybe for you guys it's simpler to use a eraser. Yeah, now I can see that here is just a little bit too much. Yeah, like this, I think should be enough. Yeah. And now I need to remove all that stuff from the frame. To remove it, I will just select this polygon fill and put the color of that fill to the black. You can see that like this. And now I can just remove all that stuff from the frame. So that's it. You can see that windows are already shining, and maybe it's too dark. Maybe let's make those a little bit brighter, like this for example. Yeah, now we have a pretty shining windows. We have a wooden parts, we have our roofing parts, and we have a concrete walls. So yeah, basically right now we need to just texture everything what is not textured yet. Let's maybe put this concrete stuff to this small little window here. So I will just select the layer of that concrete, and here in the mask again I can just oops. And once again, here is a problematic place where we need to gently use the paintbrush to work with, because we have a window textured actually in the same polygon as this wall actually, yeah. So it will goes that way. And this red wooden roofing part we will put over here now. Then this one, yeah, and that one will goes over here. I don't really care what direction we will have in this bottom part of the roof because we will not see it. So yeah, that's it. I textured this part right now, and now let's move to the pipe. So basically I want to make pipe slightly differently from concrete. Maybe let's add another type of concrete or something else. Okay, I will use for example ground gravel. Let's see how it looks like. Yeah, I like to use for pipe. Here you can see there is different options. For example, we can just scale up or scale down the gravel like this or like that. We can remove different layers. We can add or remove amount of gravel, and we can scale up and scale down the overall texture like this. So basically I suggest that this should be enough for us. And now I will just add a black mask again here, and I will add texture over here like that. It's pretty close to this type of concrete, but it will have small gravels. And yeah, so right now I will just use the selection buttons again to just control where to put that texture, and maybe I will add something like different color on top of the pipe to just see it much more visible. Not this one. You can play with different type of materials from the shelf. The main workflow for that, you can just drag and drop your material into layer, and here with the selection you can just add a mask. So sorry, I forgot to mention that you just drag and drop your material into layers, then you're using the masking tool to put a black mask, and after that you will just put with that polygon fill tool white color to all these places which you want to add this color. For example, I like to have here not the blue, but for example red, the same red color as I have here on the roof. I can use this color tool to choose the colors from any places which is already textured. You can just use, for example, this roof, and yeah, that means that I already have that small piping end of the pipe with the orange color over here. Now I want to add a black square inside of the roof. I will just use the base color with the black material, and again just add a black mask and just fill with the white color to see the black places for our hole, to just make a illusion of the black color. Okay, once again over here. Sorry, I have a wooden parts like this. Let's try to use the same material as we use it over here. Yeah, I think it worked pretty well. And here you can see that I not really like this direction of the tiling. Then I will go to another material over here and use this direction of the tiling. Sometimes you can see that some of the mask could be projected through your model, so be careful with that. Sometimes it's really simple to just break out your model actually. And now I see that I want to add this red color over here, and you can see that the normal map of the previous layer actually yeah, I need to save my project because sometimes could happen something really not good when the program actually just drops down. lesson 6. So yeah, I will use that pink color to just, and remember, if you will just lose somewhere in your model, you can press F to just go back. Yeah, this is important things, to use the F button to get back to see your model in the camera. And yeah, let's just try to put this pink color over here. I suggest it should work really nice. And this wooden part could be over here as well. Yeah, I like it a lot. So basically, maybe it's already enough of information for today's lecture. Maybe I will give you a chance to play around with that Substance Painter, and yeah, next lesson we will continue to texture some other things, for example that doors and the foundation, and I will show you how to export everything. But also I suggest that this should be an end for the exterior part, and we will go to the interior, because my last lecture should be 15 April, and from my measurement I think that we should have enough of time to finish the interior from the next lesson to for 1 month. During the Unity lessons will be started. So yeah, thank you guys for listening today, and I will prepare now uh, the video and upload it on YouTube, and also uh, I will just create the links in the Moodle, which could be seen somewhere here, I suggest. And yeah, you can just see what we talked about all that lesson. And thank you guys again. I will just now need the time to prepare the YouTube and upload it. So see you next week.